The Spotless Cheetah by Stephanos Christodoulou, SC Storybooks. Sabi was very different, his mother always knew, but to her he was just as precious as the others and just as beautiful too. He had all the usual cheetah features, apart from one. You see spots on his coat. Sabi had none. All the other cheetahs were covered with spots and dots. From their heads to their tails, they had lots and lots. But Sabi's mother and brothers loved him a lot. To them it didn't matter if he was spotted or not. They loved to play any time of the day. They chased and raced all over the place, leapt and sidestepped with ease and grace, and zigged and zagged at a dazzling pace. One day they ran into the open plains without a bother, and one by one other animals started to gather. See, when the cheetahs ran so fast, it was quite a sight, because no one could match their speed, try as they might. "Is that even a real cheetah?" screeched a bitter hornbill flying high. "Look, it has no spots. It's like a strange creature running by." "It looks more like a skinny lion," shouted a jealous gazelle, knowing that she could never run so fast or ever sprint so well. His family had enough and chased the bullies away, but the sadness Sabi felt from their words was clearly here to stay. See, El the gazelle didn't know him that well, and Bill the hornbill was full of ill will. But the words that they said echoed round in his head, and with an angry frown he quivered and said, "I am strange, they say, strange as can be. I see it now too, it's so clear to see. However normal I act or try to be, the odd one out will always be me." Then he remembered what his mother would say whenever he would tell her that he felt this way. "You are who you are, the kindest cheetah by far. Your beauty is not just in the rare fur you're in, but in what is hidden deep within. Always remember you are unique, no matter what comes from anyone's beak." But those words became a distant blur as he was now ashamed of his fur. He looked at his reflection in the river and felt so pale, he seemed so plain from his head to his tail. "Ugh, why can't I even have a single dark spot?" he said as he came up with a great idea, or so he thought. He dipped his claw in mud and then touched his face. It worked! He had a spot. It was no longer empty space. He filled his body and happily trotted. He was finally spotted. He rolled around and was filled with glee, and he couldn't wait for everyone to see how spotted and normal he could really be. But as he ran back to his family, dashing along the path, voices came from behind a bush, and they were starting to laugh. "Is that a skinny tiger I see?" teased an angry bird in a tree. It was Bill the hornbill and El the gazelle. They laughed so hard that they started to yell. Sabi was surprised and looked down on his fur. The spots became stripes and disappeared in a blur. All that rolling around had messed with his plan. He felt like a fool, so he turned back and ran. He tried to hold back his tears in vain as clouds darkened the sky and it started to rain. His family searched for him until he was found, looking miserable and lonely upon a small mound. Suddenly, some noisy safari vehicles drove by, and from them came an almighty cry. "Look at that! I've never ever seen one before! That is the reason I love to explore." The animals heard the sound and gathered around. They posed and smiled to get their picture taken, but if they thought all this attention was for them, they were surely mistaken. A ray of sun broke through the clouds as cheers of joy came from the crowds. Whose face are they pointing at? Could it be mine? Sabi wondered as he realized it was his time to shine. The rain had washed the mud away and he looked brand new. A rare golden cheetah now came into view. Although he was spotless, he was the one they all wanted to spot, as he was glistening in the sunlight like a shiny gold pot. Not a spot to be seen, just a pure golden gleam. The other animals gathered in awe with utter disbelief at what they all saw. Though some might have teased him, he was clearly now the winner, as his coat began to glimmer, to glow, and to shimmer. That day, Sabi realized that he didn't have to look like the others, or have beautiful spots like his mother and his brothers. He now knew that being himself was more than enough. And even though being so different was sometimes quite rough, it had also made him stronger and even more tough. He was finally happy and comfortable in his own paws, as he saw how much joy he brought by simply being who he was.